The Super Mottle Midge Larva, although diminutive in size, is both mottled in coloration and shows segmentation, two characteristics that I believe enhance a fly's attractiveness to trout, no matter what the size. Here, I'm going to tie one on a size 22 51/45 tactical midge hook from Fulling Mill. Begin by getting the hook firmly secured in the jaws of your tying vise. Then, load a bobbin with a nice fine thread, like this rust-colored 12/0 from Semperfli. Get the thread started on the hook shank behind the eye, and after taking a few wraps rearward, snip off the excess tag. I want this to be a cream-colored midge, so I'm going to use some cream-colored Kapok dubbing and, to add a bit of modeling, Kapok in tan as well. Kapok is awesome for dry flies because it floats really nicely, but is also great for small flies like this because it dubs down to next to nothing. It's almost like coloring your thread with a marker. Set aside a small clump of the cream and one of the tan within easy reach. Also, have a dubbing whirl nearby and some plunger-style hackle pliers. You're going to have your hands pretty full in just a minute. Pick up one of the clumps of Kapok and pull it apart several times to help align the fibers. This process is called carding. Then, rotate the fibers in your fingertips so they're roughly parallel to your tying thread. Pull the fibers out in this orientation and begin twisting them onto your tying thread. As you can see, they produce a remarkably slender dubbing noodle. Now, create a dubbing loop with your tying thread. Get hold of the second clump of Kapok and prepare it in the same manner as you did the first. Here too, align the fibers with your tying thread, but this time, create a slender noodle on the other leg of the dubbing loop of about the same length. Pick up your dubbing whirl and insert the hook into the bottom of the loop. Give the whirl an ample clockwise spin as if you're looking down on it. This will cord the Kapok dubbing noodles into a fine two-color rope. Pick up your plunger-style hackle pliers, open them, and take a couple of wraps with the bare thread below the dubbing around the hook of the pliers, then close them. This will allow you to cut the dubbing whirl free. I find it much easier to wrap with the pliers rather than the heavy whirl. Take thread wraps rearward, down into the hook bend, then back up to behind the eye. Ideally, you want the dubbing to start way down into the hook bend. Begin taking forward-touching wraps up the shank with the dubbing rope to produce both a mottled and a segmented body. When you reach your tying thread, use it to anchor the rope, then snip the excess off close. Although not essential, I do like to apply a light skim of Vineyard's tying wax to my thread to give it some grip. This makes it easier to cover up any exposed material and produce a neat little head on the fly. Pick up your whip finish tool and use it to do a back-to-front 4 to 5 turn whip finish, seat the knot really well, and snip or cut your tying thread free. A small drop of head cement, here Sally Hansen hard as nails, applied to the exposed thread wraps, once dry, will ensure they don't come unraveled. As always, it's a good idea to use a fine-tipped bodkin to make sure the eye is clear of obstruction. And that's the Super Mottle Midge Larva. As small as the modeling and segmentation is, I believe trout can see it and are attracted to it because the fly looks more lifelike than, say, just a thread body with a fine wire rib. Or so it goes in theory.